Guys, Godzilla vs. Kong is probably the best movie I've seen this year so far. Like, honestly, Godzilla vs. Kong was so good. It was amazing, and I'm going to talk about it. So, I'm going to get this right off the bat. This movie feels like one of those early mid 2000s adventure movies. They didn't necessarily have the best story or the deepest characters or like great message or anything, rich thematic ideas. They didn't have any of that. They just wanted to have make a fun theater experience for families, or maybe not families, but just for people to go see, just to have fun, turn off their brains for a while and be entertained. That's what this movie feels like, and I live for it, man. It's so good. It nails it. And the reason I say that is because its basic like story and setup is like bare minimum to get these two titans fighting. Like Adam Wingard and the writers, they did the absolute bare minimum required to get Godzilla and Kong at odds with each other. And it works. Why does it work? Because the action scenes and the fights are oh so good. They are immaculate. The special effects here on display in this movie are some of the best I've seen in years, man. Marvel has done some good stuff. DC has done some good stuff with visual effects. Godzilla vs. Kong like blew all that out of the water, man. Like it hit me how good the VFX were when Kong had some like genuine like heartfelt moments in the film. Like there is a little heart. This movie has a heart, and it revolves around Kong and this little girl who can communicate with him, and all those little heartfelt moments. There weren't a lot of them. There were only a couple, and they weren't like emotional. Like, oh my god, that's so cool. They were just like, oh, those kind of little heartfelt moments. Those little moments that make you go, oh. But Kong's face, there's so much emotion in his face, and it's all CGI. It's awesome. It's so good. Like his eyes and his mouth and it's so good. The VFX are great, and Godzilla, of course, all looks great. All the fights and VFX look great. What Adam Wingard does with the camera too is like he did not have to do some of the shots he did, but he did them anyway. Like in one fight, there's a POV shot of Godzilla punching Kong around, or not Godzilla, Kong punching Godzilla around, and it blew. I was like, that's awesome. And then later in that same fight, there's like a tracking shot. I don't know if it's a tracking shot, like a snorkel. I don't know what to call it. It was like a tracking shot as it followed Godzilla's face as he hit the ground. It was so cool, and like Kong swinging around buildings and just Godzilla whipping his tail around and knocking things over. It was so good. Like everything I saw, like every VFX shot was completely believable and looked real. It was great. Like I'm spouting all this good stuff about the VFX, but it really is the center of this movie. The VFX were bad, and this movie would be out of here. But like everything relating to Godzilla and Kong and them fighting is just immaculate. Like the story, again, such a basic setup, basic premise. It does just enough to get them fighting, and it works. And it works because the action scenes are so great. And here's another thing. There's this side quest with Millie Bobby Brown's character from King of Monsters and Julian Dennison, who I love, by the way. I love both of them. Who they team up with like this crazy conspiracy theorist guy who's freaking hilarious. And it's like a little side quest. You think it's just going to be some weird subplot or whatever, but it actually does catch up with the main plot by the end, and it matters by the end of the movie, which was a pleasant surprise because I thought it was just some random subplot that wouldn't go anywhere, but it actually did matter by the end of the film, and that's cool. I did not expect that. That was a nice surprise. But the other human stuff, with like this scientist lady and like this corporation. It was really boring. Like, I just didn't care. I didn't care about the human stuff, except for like that little side quest, just because it was a fun side quest. That conspiracy theorist guy's hilarious. Julian Dennison was really likable. But yeah, the human stuff was just boring. And here's another thing: since the story, like characters, everything is so basic regarding like plot and all that, you don't need to see the other monster movies to understand this one. Like, so there's 2014 Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, and Godzilla King of Monsters that all like built up to this movie. You don't need to see any of them. Why? Why do I know that? Because I haven't seen them, and I completely understood what was happening in Godzilla vs. Kong. There were like references to those movies, but like they were all in like the beginning, and they were like little one-lines that didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So, and even when there's like an actual important plot point from, like for example, there's one important plot point that kind of carries over from King of Monsters. It recaps that plot point, and it doesn't really dwell on it, so it's not like you have to go see King of Monsters before you watch this one. You don't need to see those other movies to understand this one, which I think is great, because I really didn't want to sit down and watch 3 movies that I didn't really want to watch just to watch this one. I might go back and watch those 3 movies now, but yeah, you don't need to see the other 3 Monsterverse films to see this one and to understand it, which is awesome. That's great. So if that kind of scares you away, don't worry about it. You can watch this movie and enjoy it wholeheartedly as much as I did. Because here's another thing: why are you going to a monster movie for the story? You're not going to a monster movie for a story. You're going there to watch big things fight each other. That's exactly why you're seeing a monster movie. That's exactly why I watched this monster movie. And it knows exactly what audiences are seeing it for. And I kid you not, the entire second half of this movie is basically nonstop action. There's some action in the first half, don't get me wrong, but it's just under 2 hours long. Around like the 50-minute mark, it's like nonstop action for the rest of the movie. It's amazing. It's so great. Oh my god, I could gush about this movie for a long time. I loved it so much. Now, I actually watched this on HBO Max because, I'm in school. I work a part-time job as well, so I just don't have time to go to a theater now. When I saw Raya and Chaos Walking, I was on spring break that week, so I had the time. I had time, but now I don't. So, if theaters are open near you, I highly encourage you to see it there, because who doesn't want to watch a big, awesome monster movie on the big screen? But also, if you don't have theaters open near you, you just don't have time or the money to go out and see in theaters, watch it on HBO Max like I did. Watch it on a big TV if you have one, sound all the way up. It's a really fun time no matter where you watch it. It's killing in the box office. It's killing on HBO Max. So I support this movie. Like, I want everyone to support this movie in any way they can, because, like I said in the beginning of this review, this feels like an early mid-2000s adventure movie that doesn't really care that it doesn't have a rich story or deep characters. It just wants to make the audience have fun, and it exceeds every expectation I had, and it was amazing. So I'm going to give Godzilla vs. Kong an A+. Usually my score is like how good of a film it is, but this time I said screw it. It doesn't want to be a film, it just wants to be a fun movie, so that's how I graded it. It's a fun movie, and the boring stuff is completely excused by the awesome action and fights. So I highly recommend seeing Godzilla vs. Kong, and this has been yet another movie review from yours truly, and I will see you guys later. Bye.